if you've ever been in a meeting where a problem comes up, sales are down, customer complaints are rising, operations are inefficient, and someone says, we need to retrain everyone. Look, you're not alone. I've definitely been there. And in that moment, I'm sure just like me, you're probably sitting there thinking, right, maybe training could help, but it's probably not the whole story because you've seen what really goes on. Broken systems, unclear processes, lack of accountability, competing priorities, but somehow training becomes a solution anyway. This is what I call the training trap. When we don't take the time to understand why a problem is happening, we default to the most familiar solution, training. And then we solve the wrong problem. And when we do that, we never get the right results. Okay, so think of it like the Greek myth of Sisyphus, endlessly pushing a boulder up the hill only to watch it roll back down. Organizations do this constantly, launching one initiative after another without addressing the root cause, then wondering why the boulder keeps rolling back. Let me be clear about this. Training is powerful, but training is not always the answer. And if we keep treating it like it is, we'll continue to invest time and money into solutions that don't move the needle. So there's this quote that they say Albert Einstein said, if I had 1 hour to save the world, I'd spend 55 minutes defining the problem and 5 minutes solving it. Most organizations do the opposite. They'll spend 5 minutes defining the problem and 55 minutes building the solution. Let's make this real. So a company rolls out a new CRM system. Adoption is slow, so the response is, well, we need training. But when you dig deeper, you find that the system is slow, it's hard to access, it doesn't match how people actually work. Training won't fix that. But if we move forward anyway and adoption fails, guess what gets blamed? Training. So how do we actually get to the real problem? One of the simplest tools that we talk about in the book is called the 5 whys. You just keep asking why until you hit bedrock. Problem. Employees aren't applying new skills after training. Why? They don't remember what they learned. Why? The training was overwhelming, too long, too dense. Why? Well, it was decided that it was best to be delivered in one all-day session to not take people out of work for too long. Why? Oh, right. Leadership didn't want people away from work for more than 1 day. But why? Because they prioritize short-term efficiency over the science of how people actually learn and retain information. That's the root cause. Not the trainer, not the content. A scheduling decision made without understanding truly how learning sticks. Notice in this scenario, training wasn't even in the top 3 answers. And that's why we have to look at something bigger, the performance environment. This is everything surrounding your people that helps or hinders performance. Opportunities to apply what they've learned, resource availability and access, support from peers, managers, and the organization, culture, psychological safety, and motivation or drive. Because performance, it doesn't happen in a vacuum. It happens inside of an environment. And that environment should be measured before you design the intervention, not after it fails. And here's the key. Even the best training in the world won't work in a broken environment. And if people don't have the tools, the support, or the clarity to do the job, no amount of training is going to fix that. So before you recommend training, start by asking better questions. What problem are we really trying to solve? Is this a perceived issue, or do we already have the data confirming it? What's happening in the environment that might be causing this? Do people already know what to do but can't do it? Would fixing a system, a process, or a policy have more impact than training? These are the questions that change everything. And the best way to answer them isn't guessing, it's triangulating. Stakeholder interviews, focus groups, a quick pulse survey, and a look at the data you already have, like performance dashboards or turnover numbers. Now, don't get me wrong, training is often part of the solution, but it should never be the only solution. Real performance improvement happens when training is combined with reinforcement, leadership support, systems, and culture. Training is one piece of the puzzle, not the whole picture. So here's a reflection I have for you. Think about a challenge you're facing right now. Write it down in one sentence, and then ask yourself, is this really a training problem or is it a performance environment problem? When we stop defaulting to training, we stop wasting effort and we start solving real problems. And that's what drives results. But even when we identify the right solution, there's another challenge: getting people to actually change their behavior. Because knowing something doesn't mean doing it. And in the next episode, we're going to look at the science behind behavior change and why so many well-designed solutions still fail.